Good day to you, my fellow classmates of Advanced Public Speaking. With elections in the process, it seems appropriate to go back and think of the very first head of state, George Washington. We all should know the name. He was the first man to be given the ultimate responsibility of leading the country's people. But what most probably don't know was his reluctance to accept the role a second time. What I'm referring to is the second term, the additional 4 years a president can take on when their first is finished. When given this privilege, Mr. Washington was reluctant to accept it. He was concerned about how long the trial should be held. And this brings up the question, should the rules surrounding the second term stay the same, or is it time to change? During the creation of the present occupation, there was much debate in regards to what name they would even give such a leader. A lot of the controversy was due to part of the Constitution that stated that no title of nobility should be granted to the United States. For this reason, most believe that this concept violated this doctrine by attempting to give one person power over the population, which is basically what a monarch was. Arguably, one factor that relieved some of the tension was Mr. Washington himself. He wisely chose to distance himself from the warrants of the exiled title, and this humble behavior resulted in the people being more supportive of his election as leader in the end. It also set the position of vice president in the process. The situation makes sense to me. Think about it. When a president is demanding a position of power, it implies entitlement, greed, and a sense of superiority, all the qualities of a despot. However, reluctance to reclaim this power shows humility and a sense of equality. He has been recorded during his first inauguration, to obey like any other person. He was nervous at the thought of carrying such a tremendous responsibility. His physical journey to the site was considered a moment of relief at first. However, when the time arose for him to give the speech, it was a different story. Records state that he spoke with sincerity, confidence, and charisma. One spectator even described him as having the appearance of a hero. He may have been gleeful towards his new position, but he accepted it. He appreciated it, he knew how sacred it was, and executed it to the best of his ability. After learning how much of a humble believer in democracy's ideals he was, it makes sense that he would establish a limit for how long a person should hold the title. He clearly believed that if one person should have authority over the nation, it should be the people's choice. However, the privilege of, and I use the word privilege because it can be taken away by the people collectively. A secondary term has come under a microscope. Through careful research, there has been possible flaws discovered that justify the belief that there should be change brought to this current policy. One issue with the policy can be said to be the time limit that puts on newly elected presidents. They know that the time is limited, so they will try to implement measures to major issues like immigration, terrorism prevention, health, or poverty. This can have negative effects in the end, since there is the possibility that the aforementioned measures may sound appropriate, but are not in reality. As a result, the average person will have to deal with whatever negative impact these laws could bring, while the president sits by in blissful ignorance. Another issue would be the lack of unity among the nation. The elected president would have to deal with this, of course. And it should be known that, well, it shall be common knowledge, that there are many subcultures within the country, and it can be difficult to get them to agree on one thing. If there's a president that was elected due to the support of only one group, it will be difficult for them to gain the support of the others. One example of this would be Barack Obama himself. During his election, he did seem charismatic, intelligent, and capable of bringing a lot of great change to the country. But after the election was all said and done, there are still people to this day who think he only got into the office because people wanted the African-American president. With these problems addressed, there may be a possible remedy to them. One suggested solution was the extension of the president's term. It would give them more time to earn the required trust of all the people, and it would give them more experience to handle their roles suitably. But this can backfire immensely, because it could lead them to becoming too entrenched in their occupation. So entrenched that election probably won't even matter. In terms of lending, there could be a midterm of sorts. When I say midterm, I don't mean like a test in college or in high school. It could be like something given to them after two of their 4-year term is finished. The survey could be done regarding the president's accomplishments so far. This would include questions toward what they have done, what laws they have made, or whether they have done more harm than good overall. The survey would include opinions from both members of the White House and the people. If the survey showed signs of negative leadership, the president's termination would be mandatory, and an emergency election could be held. Otherwise, the policy regarding second term can be beneficial if the right protocols are created.